Hi class, so this is my project on chapter 12, relationship dynamics. So this chapter covered a lot. Relationships can be defined as the social connections of many different kinds that to varying degrees meet our interpersonal needs. And today we will be going over why we need relationships, a 6-stage model of friendship, a 10-page model of romantic relationships, and the influence of media and technology on relationship development. So, why we need relationships. Think of the relationships you have with your family, your friends, your significant other, employer, employee, and relationship expectations are different for each of those due to the kind of interaction you want to have with them. So regardless, we need interpersonal contact. It is in our human nature to want to reach out to those others in hopes of growing relationships. And there are main functions that these relationships serve. So they preserve happiness and health. Happy people live up to 35% longer than those who report being unhappy. And in those not so successful relationships where they are failing, they have a higher incidence of, for example, heart rates and heart attacks and mortality rates. Relationships prevent our isolation. We need this person-to-person contact. Without it, our urge is to end loneliness and isolation. For example, a hermit will hallucinate that someone else is with them. Relationships meet our interpersonal needs, namely the need to feel included, the need for a relationship to allow for control to an extent, and the need for affection. Relationships serve as behavioral references, so we actually gain more emotional stability learning from how we react with those that are close to us. And relationships serve as relationships function as communication channels, and within relationships you can communicate about anything. This is so important to have this outlet, this someone for us to talk to. And lastly, relationships maintain our sense of worth. Healthy relationships bring out a better sense of self-esteem and worth. Understanding why we need relationships is important because as humans, we want to experience belonging. So I hope this reaches out to you because in the sense that we want personal relationships with others, working towards growing relationships and preserving them will reward us with overall satisfaction. And no one wants us to feel cut off. It's in our human nature to need this interpersonal contact. Otherwise, our mental and physical health will suffer. Next is forming friendships. So an acquaintance is someone we know and talk to when we just run into each other. It's often only meeting by chance. Whereas a friend, you go out of your way to spend time with them. And acquaintanceships can turn into friendships if there's a want for more. And friendships do take time to develop. So I wanted us to take a look at the 6-stage model of friendship created by researcher W.K. Rawlins, and to see the development of friendships. So in the first stage, we have role-limited interaction, and this is meeting for the first time. So we don't know if there's going to be a relationship evolving out of this, and so we are polite and initial conversations are kept basic. The second stage is friendly relations. So we try to figure out if there's enough in common to continue developing a relationship. So we try to talk about more subjects to see if they will interact well with us. The third stage of friendship is moving towards friendship. So we want to continue this momentum. So one might ask if they would like to spend time together and plan this out. So there would be an invitation to a different setting, such as outside of where they naturally would just meet each other. Nascent friendship is when you can finally begin to call each other friends. So everything is more relaxed in terms of communication, and there aren't any type of social stereotypes that are, regulating this relationship. It is just more on your own terms, and seeing each other turns into more of a pattern. Fifth is stabilized friendship. It's now established. You guys are going to be there for each other now through trust, and we support each other emotionally and share more personal information because we expect this friendship to continue. Stage 6 of friendship is waning friendship. So this is a time where friends drift apart, and it's important to keep in mind in friendships, they require maintenance and they should not be taken for granted, otherwise the friendship will wane. And there are many reasons for why this may take place. Life does happen, but regardless of the cause, communication will stop and friendship ends. So, like friendships, romantic relationships develop in stages, and there is a 10-stage model of relationship formation created by Mark Knapp and Anita Evangelisti, and I wanted to show the similarities between the model of friendship and model of relationships, and this is straight out of the textbook. And they align with each other very well, and you can see that the growth of relationships takes time regardless. And yeah, so we covered acquaintanceships, friendships, and very briefly romantic partners, just showing you the difference between the two, or I should say the similarities between the two. And it is important to note that their communication expectations are different for each type. So good friends and significant others should emotionally understand who we are more than what we should expect from just a coworker. And we are influenced by our closer relationships. And to us, they can't be easily replaced. And the significance of this is that ultimately we have goals for growing and keeping relationships, and we expect mutual, continuous, and interest and support. And if something goes wrong, such as dishonesty or disconnection, sharing yourself with one another, with the other, dissolves. Media and technology show us the socially acceptable norms, and they portray examples of the do's and don'ts of developing, maintaining, and ending our relationships. So the media tries to show off what the cultural expectations are based, on gender roles, based on gender roles. It has influenced us how we view men and women through working communication and relationships. Compared to traditional views, there is a push to perceive men and women both having masculine and feminine traits. And this term is androgynous, with different expectations now. It allows for men and women to have flexibility with behavior and it being accepted. And technology affects both communication and relationships. Networking has become a big part of our lives, and the internet is now a setting where we may build some of our friendships and romantic relationships. Online social networks make it possible to develop a relationship, although it can also make the process difficult. There are pros and cons, but they do encourage mutual self-disclosure. and that does help build its intimacy. And they also give users more control on how we are perceived, and because you can hide behind a screen. And yes, so this communication channel is not face-to-face type of interaction, and we don't have to respond as fast as we do in person, and we have time to think about our responses. And we may be skilled at conversing um, just through typing, but this may not be a skill that carries over into our face-to-face encounters. So this is important because we know the internet has given us the opportunity to socialize online, and online interactions help us maintain connections. And for example, right now, it's our main form of communication and education. But are these relationships being built truly developing um, as far as they would if there were in-person interactions? No. So it's good to see the pros and cons. And yes, that actually concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for watching. It was a great semester, and good luck to everyone.